Okay, I'm going to show you how to install a Winn Grip handle system on your fishing rod, but before I do, I want to talk about some of the applications that they have for the Winn handles. This is a three-piece split grip bait casting rod. It comes with a butt section, a rear grip, and a foregrip. This was installed on a rod that I just worked from the blank, so I was able to put all three pieces on. The reason I like this is because it has this textured grip. Winn also makes golf club grips, and it's very similar to that. And the nicest thing about it is that when your hands are wet, or you have sunscreen or fish slum on your hands, it just doesn't slip out of your hand. It's effective enough that I will not build a bass rod without it now. And I've got 4 rods here and 4 more ready to go that I'm building right now that have the Winn Grip on it. So aside from the bait cast handle, they also make heavier saltwater things, but I don't use a lot of Hypalon type grips, but if I were to build one, I would certainly use the larger Winn Grip. But this is like on a spinning rod here. It's just a back section. This actually has a EVA butt, but this also gives you that better grip, and it makes for a nice looking product as well. But one of the nice things about these grips is you can put them on rods after the fact. Rods that you have to have a messed up handle or whatever, you can actually take off the back end of the rod and replace it with a rear grip and a new butt section. And there we go again. Situation where you might want to do that, I have this bass rod where you can see the back end is pretty chewed up and broken up. I can't replace the foregrip without rewrapping the entire rod, but as you can see, the foregrip's in pretty good shape. But what I can do is I can take this off, clean up the blank a little bit, and apply the Winn rear grip and butt grip over this existing rod. Well, I'm not going to show you how to do this in this video. I'll explain how you can do it on your own rod. Okay, these are the 3 sections of the rod handle that come from the Winn Grip. They're all packaged separately, and they all have a slightly different inner diameter. The butt section, I think, is a 1/4 inch inner diameter, while the foregrip and the rear grip have a smaller one. I don't know exactly what it's, maybe 3/8. So based on the rod you're going to put it on, you're going to have to adjust the inner diameter of that handle. So what I would do is start off by sliding this down my handle and seeing that it's not going anywhere near where I would want my handle section to be, which means I'm going to have to ream this out a bit. The butt section might be closer. That looks like I need to ream that out a bit as well. So Batson Enterprises has Batson Enterprises has a kit that's called the Dream Reamer, which is a series of 4 reaming rods. Let me grab one more thing. That are basically tapered blanks with very aggressive sandpaper around the edges that would strip down. And what these do is these go up inside of this and widen out the inner diameter. So there's 4 different sizes, which allows you to start with one that will, you want to use the largest one that will fit inside of your handle, and then you're going to ream it out to the size that you want it to be. But to do that, you're going to need to compare the thickness approximately where your handle is going to be. So this thing I know for a fact is going to be smaller than where it needs to go on the blank. So I can go all the way down to the bottom of this with my grip. So it's kind of messy, so I recommend doing it outside or in the garage or something. You don't want a bucket or a box or something to put your windings into, and you just insert it into the thing there. And again, this is the smallest size or the largest size that will fit into this, and then you just turn the drill on. And get all your stuff out of there. Now, it's very easy to get off center with this, so when you're drilling it, you want to make sure and hold it centered so you don't get a push out to one edge and along on the other. I'm fairly certain this is going to be too small in diameter, which I'm correct. It'll go down about that far. You can get another 6 or 7 inches out of it, but you're not going to get much more than that. So I'm going to have to open this up a little bit more. Since I maxed out this piece here, I'm going to go to my next one, which is the next size up. But now I'm going to be careful not to take away too much material because I'm pretty close to the size I want. That might be good right there. So yeah, that's going to slide down just perfect to where I want it. So at the same time, I need to widen out my butt. Now the problem with the butt section is there's clothes on the end, so you're going to have to figure out how to widen them. And I found that sticking the biggest size they'll fit in there and working it around works pretty well. So I'll stick it in there and I'll just kind of rock it evenly. That'll get quite a bit of material out, and then that should slide right over the butt. That'll go on there once I put some epoxy on. The final piece would be this, the foregrip. I know that's a little smaller because that's going to sit in front of the rear seat. So I'm going to go back to my smaller size. I'm going to ream it all the way down. There we go. And that will slide down far enough. I can spread that out to fit on the other side of the rear seat. Now the way this is shaped, this will sit right up inside of the rear seat. So once you have it in place, it'll be snugged up against that, so you won't see the seam. Anyway, once you have the handle fit the size, it's as simple as applying any other rod handle. I use 2-part epoxy. This is a U40 rod bond, very easy 2-part epoxy to mix. And I will coat that on a blank, make sure that I have good coverage all over the inside of the piece of grip here. So what I'll normally do is I'll slide the grip down as far as it'll go naturally without forcing it and still have some wobble. Then I'll mark that with a China marker. I'll pull that up and I will apply epoxy all the way up to where the top of it would be. So the epoxy would go all the way up here, and I would get a nice coating of epoxy all the way down to where I want to do it. That way, once I slide this down, I can twist it around and make sure I get a lot of epoxy underneath the handle, so that when I slide in the position, it's got the epoxy under it. If you just put the epoxy where you want the handle to go, the end of the grip will squeegee it all out. You'll have a little bit of epoxy here and the rest of your handle will be dry. So the same goes for any of the other ones. Now, for the butt section, what I'll do is I'll pack the epoxy inside of here with a popsicle stick. These are real handy to have. I'll just put it on the inside, get a good coating on there, and you can't have too much, it'll just squeeze out the side. Another way of doing it if you don't have the epoxy is to use a 2-sided golf club grip tape, grip installing tape. So basically, I got this on Amazon. This is a 2-part tape that you can cut to length, and then you can wrap it around your blank wherever your handle is going to be. And if you're once you put that on there, it's very sticky, but they have a solvent that comes with it, this grip solvent that you just squirt all over the tape, and it allows you to slide your handle down over the tape, and then it will dry on its own. Like by the next day it'll be dry. Finally, getting back to the last thing I was talking about with replacing a handle on an existing rod. Since you can't come this way, you're going to have to slide your handle up the back of the rod. So what you're going to need to do is make sure that the inside diameter of the back section is large enough that you can bring it over the butt section. It'll stretch a bit. So basically I would just cut this out, and I would clean out the EVA or cork or whatever you have that's inside of this reel seat as well to make room for the little ridge section that sits up inside there. And then you can clean it up and sand it up, clean it off. You can just strip the look at the juggling act here. As you can see on this rod here, this is the rod I'm rebuilding. I didn't take all of the old handle off completely. There's a little bit left on there. Now, once you put some epoxy on, you can slide right over that. You can clean it up a little with some sandpaper or whatever, and slide your thing over this. So this is going to come, instead of coming down, it's going to come up, and it's going to mount up against the back of the thing. In those situations, this two-sided tape is really good to use because it'll bulk it up a little bit to make up for the extra diameter you have to get over the butt section. So that's pretty much it. Pretty easy to do. These handles are great. I'm telling you, once you get one, you're not going to want to use anything else. So that's the Winn Grip handle system.